What's up guys, my name is Ace and Call of Duty Next is here, and I'm actually live streaming right now if you're catching this video just as it goes live. So if you guys want to catch that, I am playing Modern Warfare 3 live for you guys on Twitch. I will leave a link to that in the description down below. But in today's video, we're going to be going over all of the menus and exactly how the perk system is structured, as well as all of the known perks that we have so far. And I'll also show off all of the weapons and equipment and field upgrades, everything like that, toward the end of the video. Keep in mind at this point, I haven't really had a chance to sit down and play the game properly. I have touched it a little bit, but I am going to hold off on my initial impressions of the game until after the stream today. We're just going to be focusing on the menus here. Also, it is worth mentioning this is a limited build of the game, so we don't have access to all of the items that we'll actually see at launch. And diving right in, let's talk about the perk structure, because this is something that has been leaked for quite some time, but we haven't seen all the details of this. And essentially the way this works is you choose a vest, and the vest is going to have quite a big impact on your playstyle and the class in general. And then on top of that, you have access to 3 to 4 pieces of gear, depending on which vest you choose. And each piece of gear is essentially just a perk. To my knowledge, it doesn't affect your character cosmetically at all. They've just separated the perk tiers and called them pieces of gear instead. But let's first focus on the vests before we get into the perks, because they have a much bigger impact on your setup. And we'll start this off with the infantry vest. With this one, it increases your attack duration, and it reduces your refresh time, so it's basically the double time perk. And they also mentioned that if you equip it with the running sneakers, which we'll get into in a little bit, then you'll get the effects of lightweight boots instead. So that just prevents things from stacking, because you'll see with the running sneakers, that also has an effect on tactical sprint, and they wanted to ensure that things don't stack. It's also worth noting with this particular vest, you get access to gloves, boots, and just one piece of gear. You'll see that the vests do behave different in this area. Next, let's move on to the engineer vest, and with this one, you can see we get that extra piece of gear, so essentially 4 perks if you use this particular vest. And with this, it allows you to spot enemy equipment, field upgrades, and kill streaks through walls. And also when you aim down sight at them, it will spot them for your teammates, just like the spotter perk. And on top of that, you do get a faster field upgrade recharge rate. However, another thing you may notice if you look closely, you get 2 tactical grenades, but you don't get a lethal grenade slot if you use this vest. So definitely some trade-offs involved when using these. After that, we have the gunner vest, and with this one, you deploy with maximum ammo and you get increased reload speed, so basically fast hands. However, you'll notice you can't use boots if you use this vest, and you also don't get that additional piece of gear, so you only get gloves and 1 piece of gear if you decide to use this vest. And then finally, within the build that we have access to at least, we have the demolition vest, and with this one, it allows you to resupply lethal and tactical equipment every 25 seconds, so it's the resupply perk. On top of this, you have access to 2 lethal pieces of equipment, and you don't lose access to your tactical equipment, by the way. However, again, you don't get that additional 4th gear slot. You just get gloves, boots, and 1 piece of gear. So there we go, that's going to wrap it up for all of the vests that we have access to in this build. There are definitely going to be plenty more of these in the full build of the game. Now let's move into the individual pieces of gear, or perks essentially. And we'll start this off with the gloves. First up, we have the quick grip gloves, which just give you increased weapon swap speed, so not really a super powerful perk by any means. Then we have scavenger gloves, which are just basically the scavenger perk. When you kill enemies, you can pick up a scavenger pack and replenish ammo. And then finally, we have the commando gloves, which allow you to reload while sprinting. So the glove category, at least as of now, not a super powerful perk slot at all. These are very minor changes. Whereas boots tend to be quite a bit more powerful. And first up when it comes to boots, we have the lightweight boots, and these ones increase your general movement speed as well as your swimming movement speed, and you also make less noise while swimming if you're using these boots. Then we have climbing boots, which increase your climbing and mantling speed, and you also take reduced fall damage when using these. After that, we've got these Stalker boots, which increase your aim down sight movement speed and your strafe speed in the game, just like the Stalker perk from Modern Warfare 3, although based on my very small amount of playtime, it doesn't seem to be quite as crazy as the Stalker perk from Modern Warfare 3, but it definitely helps. Next, we have tactical pads, which will increase your slide distance. They also allow you to be fully aim down sight while sliding, and it increases our stance transition speeds, as well as our crouch movement speeds. And then finally, thankfully, we've got the covert sneakers. This is basically the dead silence perk, so these will eliminate your footstep audio. And with that, we can move into the last tier of perks, essentially, and this is just called gear in general. And the first one we've got here is EOD padding, so basically just EOD or blast shield. Similarly, we have tac mask, that should be familiar to you. This one's gonna help against tactical equipment. Then we've got the Mission Control Comlink, which is essentially just hardline. It takes 1 less kill to get your streaks, or 125 score if you decide to go with score streaks, because that is once again on a toggle, just like in Modern Warfare 2. After that, we have the Bone Conduction headset, and this one sounds interesting. I definitely want to get my hands on this and test it a bit. It says it reduces combat noise, which allows for improved identification of enemy footsteps and gadgets. So from the sounds of it, it doesn't quite seem like Amplify, where it just boosts footsteps, although it could just be the way they worded it. Maybe it does just boost footstep audio. But there you go, for anybody that was concerned about those covert sneakers, there does appear to be a counter to it. Then we've got the LR detector, and this one warns of hostile laser and radiation sources. At this point, I wouldn't say we know enough about the game and the gadgets and the gear to really be able to tell how effective this is going to be. And then finally, we've got the Ghost TV Camo, which is essentially just the Ghost perk. However, it's the version of the Ghost perk that only works while moving. So that's nice to see as well. At least I like that. I know it's not for everyone, but this one only works when you're on the move. So there we go, just a little reminder with that gear section, in some cases, depending on the vest you're using, you can use up to 2 of these at the same time. Next, let's get into the field upgrades. And again, we do have a pretty limited selection in this build, but we've got the trophy system, we've got the comm scrambler, which disables communication within its radius, so just a scrambler it looks like. We've got a med box that you can drop on the ground and your teammates can use that. Once again, we do have the munitions box, that one is just like Modern Warfare 2. And then finally, we have the ACS. And this is a very interesting addition to the game, something we've never seen before in Call of Duty. With this, if you throw it on an objective, like a domination flag for instance, it can actually capture the objective for you. You don't have to be on that objective anymore. And on top of that, in the process, it will hack any enemy equipment that's within its radius. And at this point, I'm not too sure how I feel about this one. Obviously, we got to get some gameplay time in to see how easy it is to find and destroy, for instance, because it is a bit crazy that you can just plop that down on an objective and run away and still capture the objective. But time will tell on that one. Now let's get into our limited score streaks that we have access to. We, of course, have a UAV. We have the Mosquito drone, which is essentially just the hunter-killer drone as far as I'm aware. We've got a SAM turret, the Guardian SC, which is a brand new one, and with this one, it's a non-lethal area of denial weapon that you place down on the ground, and anybody that gets within a radius will have like a stun grenade effect applied to them, and it reduces their movement as well. Then after that, we have the counter UAV, same as Modern Warfare 2, same thing with the SAE and the remote turret. And then finally, we have the Juggernaut Recon. And I've had the chance to actually try the Juggernaut Recon a couple times now. It's pretty terrible. You do get the Juggernaut suit, so increased health, and a riot shield as well as a shotgun, but your movement speed is painfully slow. And I was only getting like a couple kills before I went down, but of course I am playing against really good players here as well. In either case, let's move on to a couple new pieces of equipment. The first one is the EMD grenade. This is a tactical piece of equipment. And with this, it will tag an enemy on the minimap for you as well as your teammates if you get a hit with it. And then on top of that, we have the scatter mine. And with this, in the description, it says you throw a field of mines across a wide area that detonates when enemies come within range. And since this is in the tactical category, I think it's just something that's meant to alert you to the presence of enemy players. I don't think this is going to actually be killing enemy players. And with that, I just wanted to finally blast through all of the weapons that we have access to in this build of the game. Again, this is a limited list, but for assault rifles, we have the SVA 545, the MTZ 556, which is based off the CZ Bren 2, and the MCW, or ACR. Then for battle rifles, we have the MTZ 762, as well as the BAS-B. Finally, the SIG Spear is in the game. For SMGs, we have the Rival 9, or Scorpion Evo 3, the AMR 9, as well as the Striker, or UMP 45. For shotguns, we have access to the Riveter, as well as the Lockwood 680. For LMGs, we got the Holger 26, as well as the Pulmiet 762, or PKP. For marksman rifles, we have the MTZ Interceptor, as well as the MCW 6.8, so a second version of the ACR. And then finally, for the primary weapons at least, for our sniper rifles, we have the Longbow, as well as the KV Inhibitor. As for secondaries, in the handgun category, we've got the WSP Stinger, the Renetti, as well as the COR 45. And then finally, for launchers, we only have one launcher in this build of the game, and this is the Pila. So there we go, that is going to wrap it up for all of the menus, the perk system, how it's all going to be working, at least for this early beta build of the game. Again, this is quite a limited list, but it should at least give you a good indication of how things are going to be playing out. Overall, I am happy to see a perk system where we no longer have to charge things up over time. So far, it's looking pretty good. I like the idea of trade-offs with those vests as well. But of course, I need to get more hands-on time with it. Again, if you guys want to see me playing live right now, I am streaming at COD Next. And again, I will leave a link to my Twitch channel in the description down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.